All right, today we're diving into the story of a tiny island nation, Malta. And when I say tiny, I mean it. But its history? It's so massive, so epic, you'll wonder how it could possibly fit on such a small piece of land.
So just picture it. You're right in the middle of the Mediterranean, smack dab between Sicily and North Africa. It's this incredible strategic choke point. If you wanted to control the sea, well, you had to control this spot. For thousands of years, this was probably one of the most important pieces of real estate on the entire planet.
Yeah, because this isn't just any island. This is Malta. It's basically a natural fortress that has been fought over, conquered, and totally transformed by pretty much every great power that ever sailed these waters. You could say its story is the story of Western civilization in miniature.
So where do we even begin with a story this big? Well, we've got to start from the ground up, literally, with the very rock it's made of. You'll see how the island's geology is the foundation for, well, everything that follows.
Okay, so the island itself is made of these 5 main layers. You've got limestone, clay, sand, all laid down over millions of years on the seafloor. But here's the thing, these layers aren't just rock. They're the raw materials. They're what would eventually be carved into incredible temples, massive walls, entire cities, and palaces.
But one of these layers, now this is the key to everything. It's called Globigerina limestone. It's this soft, beautiful, golden stone. The locals call it franca. And it's what gives Malta that iconic, honey-colored glow you see in all the pictures. It was absolutely perfect for building. Easy enough to carve into these huge fortifications, but also fine enough for really delicate art. Seriously, remember the stone, because you're going to see it everywhere.
All right, so we've got the rock. But how did this rock become such a prize for the ancient world? Well, it turns out that long before the big-name empires showed up, Malta was home to a civilization that left behind some of history's absolute greatest mysteries.
I mean, we're talking about massive stone temples here. Get this, they're older than the pyramids in Egypt, built by the super sophisticated Stone Age people who then just vanished. And then there's this other weird thing. These mysterious grooves cut deep into the rock all over the island. They look like cart tracks, right? But they were carved before the Phoenicians even got there. To this day, nobody knows for sure who made them or why.
The why is all about geography. The island's deep, natural harbors, especially the Grand Harbor, were just too valuable to ignore. I mean, they made Malta the perfect naval base and trading post. So, of course, a whole succession of powers came knocking. First the Phoenicians, then the Carthaginians, and finally the Romans, who made it part of their huge empire for more than 1,000 years.
Okay, now we're going to jump forward to the single event that really forged modern Malta in fire and stone. The Great Siege of 1565. This was an absolutely epic, totally hopeless-seeming struggle for survival. You've got this small band of knights facing off against the most powerful empire in the world.
And when I say the odds were staggering, I mean it. On one side, you have the Knights of St. John, this old medieval crusading order. They're led by a 70-year-old Grand Master, Jean de la Valletta. All told, they've got just a few hundred knights and maybe 8,500 soldiers. And on the other side, the full might of the Ottoman Empire. We're talking a massive invasion force of tens of thousands of soldiers. It looked, completely hopeless.
What followed was just a brutal, 4-month-long fight. First, the Ottomans threw everything they had at Fort St. Elmo. Now, it did eventually fall, but the incredible defiance of its defenders cost the invaders a precious month and thousands of men. So then, they turned their attention to the main strongholds, Borgo and Singlia. And just when the defenders were at their absolute breaking point, something amazing happens. A surprise cavalry attack from the old capital creates total panic in the Ottoman camp. It was a small attack, but it bought just enough time for a relief force to finally arrive from Sicily. The exhausted Ottoman army had no choice but to retreat. An unbelievable victory. You just can't overstate how savage the fighting was. When Fort St. Elmo finally fell, not one of its defenders was found alive. Every single one was killed. This siege, it was a defining moment for all of Europe. It halted the Ottoman Empire's advance, which up until that point had seemed totally unstoppable.
So what happens after a victory like that? Well, out of the ashes comes this powerful resolution. The knights had survived, sure, but just barely. And Grandmaster La Valletta, he knew they could never, ever be that vulnerable again. He had a vision to build an entirely new capital city, a fortress city, designed from the ground up for war.
And he made it happen. The Pope sent his best military architect. Money started pouring in from all across Christian Europe. They named the new city Valletta, of course, in honor of the heroic Grand Master, even though he modestly wanted to call it Humiliama, which means the most humble city. Let me tell you, there was nothing humble about it. This place was built to be one of the most advanced fortifications of its time.
And their determination was just absolute. At one point, when silver to pay the workers ran out, did they stop? Nope. They just minted special brass coins. The motto on them says it all. Not money, but credit. Or you could even say faith. This was a city built on sheer willpower.
But history never stands still, right? The heroes of the Great Siege, the knights, they wouldn't rule Malta forever. As the centuries went by, their power started to fade. And pretty soon, two new European giants set their sights on this incredible fortress island, Napoleonic France and Great Britain. So you have to wonder, how did the knights, who were so mighty, fall so easily? The reason is actually pretty simple. Money. The French Revolution was happening, and it confiscated all of the order's huge properties in France, which was their main source of cash. As you can see, their income just plummeted by over 80%. They were completely financially crippled. So when Napoleon shows up in 1798, the once mighty order just collapses, almost without a fight. But the story doesn't end there. The Maltese people got really angry with the French for looting their churches, and they revolted. They actually blockaded the French garrison inside Valletta and called on the British for help. Just 2 years later, the French surrendered to the British, and Malta willingly became a protectorate and eventually a really key colony of the British Empire.
And this is what's so incredible about Malta. Every single one of these chapters we've talked about, from the Stone Age all the way to the British Empire, it's all physically etched into the island itself. This history isn't hidden away in some dusty book. It's written in the very stones you walk on.
Just think about it. In a single day there, you can literally stand inside a prehistoric temple built by a lost civilization thousands of years ago.
And then, just a little while later, you can walk along the massive bastions of Valletta, those incredible walls built by the knights to withstand cannon fire. It's a living testament to their epic struggle. Every layer of rock, every single carved block, it tells a piece of this story. The whole island isn't just a place, it's a living museum. It's a fortress that has stood right at the crossroads of civilization for thousands and thousands of years.
And all of this really leaves you with one final question, doesn't it? After all these thousands of years of human drama, of conquest and survival, if these stones could actually talk, what other stories would they tell?